I'm Giovanna Salazar, and I am the SHIP social media manager. And here I'm with today Amparo, and we're going to talk about how to ask someone to be your mentor. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Amparo Elizabeth Romero Ortiz. I was born in Mexico. My parents did the whole immigration in 1987 to Los Angeles, and I grew up in Los Angeles. I went to the University of Southern California, majored in astronautical engineering, bachelor's and master's, and after my bachelor's, I actually went into the military as an officer, U.S. Air Force, and I'm a navigator on the RC-135. It's a reconnaissance aircraft, and while I was in, I finished my master's. But that's pretty much quick and dirty for me right now. I'm a mom of 3, have a little puppy too, husband. So life is full and sometimes crazy, but really, really good.
That's really cool. I'm sure you have a lot of stories and experiences based of everything you shared. So as a mentor in your experiences, what would be helpful to hear from a mentee who would want to connect with you? What information are you looking for to see if it would work out or not?
Usually, I mean, it's their initiative. It's usually like the mentee drives the relationship, because you're really there for them and to answer any questions. And it's mainly like to just let them feel good about the decisions that they're about to make, not to be scared or whatever in terms of like approaching somebody about a question or a job or getting a different position, or just things about just like having somebody to bounce off ideas from. So it really is driven by the mentee in terms of that. I usually like to stay open-minded, and if they have any questions, I would like to create a positive environment where they feel comfortable with me. So I always do like an intro, and then they introduce themselves, and I try to be as genuine as I can so that they know that I'm a human being, they could relate to me. So that is the easiest way for that relationship to flourish, in my opinion.
Amazing. And so you're talking about this as a mentor. Say you were looking for a mentor yourself. What kind of things do you look for? Are there specific qualities, skills that you look for in a mentor?
So at least in what I want to do in the future, it's really hard to find somebody in that specific area. So I try to find people that are willing to talk to me. And it doesn't have to be about the career field that I want to go into. It's really about, at least recently, about balancing life at work and life at home. And just how guilty you feel either if you don't put enough time in your career, if you don't put enough time at home. So just balancing those aspects, and talking to somebody that has been there is really helpful, because then you feel like, okay, if they can do it, then I can do it too, and not feeling guilty if you want to do career over family for a little bit, or family over career. It's just, right now, this is my focus, and everyone has goals, but making sure that you can flex those goals, like those goals can be flexible, and you could set whatever goals you want at specific times of your life, because your life is full of phases, and maybe early on career is more important, and then later on is family. So it's definitely that fluidity and ensuring that you're okay with that.
Yeah, that's a really good point because I feel like we always think of mentors of just someone that needs to help us professionally. But I think it really just depends on what you're looking for in the moment. And that changes and that's normal and that's okay.
Yeah.
Uh, so when you're asking for someone to be a mentor, how do you usually ask? Do you send an email? Do you connect? Do you call? What does that look like? Because I know sometimes
Um,
the first step can be the hardest for some people.
Yeah, that's true. I think if they're local, then I am inclined to make an appointment and maybe sit down with them and like bring my resume or something, to just kind of be like, hey, I was just wondering if you had some time to mentor me. Because at least in my career field, many of the officers that are above me don't have like a lot of time, and everybody gets moved every 2 to 4 years. Um, so it's really hard to like have one mentor like all the time in the military. But I think if it's somebody that isn't local, you probably send in an email with an introduction, be like, hey, my name is etc. I'm looking for a mentor. Here's my background. Here's my resume. Looking forward to hearing back. Let me know if you have the time to mentor me or something of that sort. So it's, I mean, it's really like you have nothing to lose. Like the worst thing they could say is no. So, and you shouldn't feel crushed or anything. It's just, they just don't have time right now. So just accepting that and you're like, okay, well then next.
Yep, that's really true. I mean, networking and making connections, I feel like that's what it's all about right now in the professional world. Um, but like you said, you have nothing to lose, so why not,
Yeah.
ask those people. Why get any advice you can. Um, and so earlier you talked about how mentees should be driving the connection, which is 100% true. Do you have any advice for mentees on how they should do that? Any like do's or like don'ts from your experience?
So based on my experience, the best ways that we like my relationship kind of still um continued is every week or every 2 weeks, whenever we connected, the mentees would have like questions or something or challenge that they wanted help with. So at that time, when we met up, they had, hey, these are the things that I need help with. So it's either something that I could help with right then and there, or something that I had to research myself, or maybe ask one of my network people to like help me. But it just depends. Like usually like the mentees will come prepared with like, hey, these are the questions that I have that I need help with. Some of it was like, what kind of questions am I going to get in an interview, resume questions, um how to send a letter thanking them at the end. So just like being tactful and professional, like those are like the questions that usually I had with my mentees. So yeah, can't think of anything else.
And in these connections, I'm assuming there were like reoccurring meetings or like touch points. Were they usually just like open, or did you guys usually have like topics set for each meeting?
Um, it was open, but we did go off of the topics that the mentorship had there, just so that we covered like those topics and anything else that they wanted to talk about. So our meetings would go probably like an hour and a half to 2 hours, because we would talk for a while. And then something else that I did forget is I feel comfortable giving my cell phone. So if they wanted to reach out to me, they can. So either my cell phone, my email, um, So usually, like if they have a question, they would just text me and be like, "Hey, can we talk about this in our next meeting?" And I'll be like, "Oh yeah," which was a great heads up. Like, okay, I could prepare myself for this topic before our next meeting. So that's a good way as well to for that mentee mentor relationship.
Yeah, and I think that's an important piece because some people think it's like, oh, I only have 1 hour with my mentor like every other week. Like I
Um,
know so many mentors have said, like, just shoot me a text anytime as
yeah,
questions come up. And even after, your mentorship connection, down 2, 3 years, like if something comes up, you can still reach out to them.
exactly.
Um, all right, well, those were all the questions I had for you, but now I just want to open it up if you want to share any advice or tips based on your mentorship connections.
Um, I think I've said most of what I want to say, just staying open and flexible. At least in my case, I've had like two babies right back to back. So a lot of my mentees were very flexible and nice with me. So it's so I did have to take a little pause, but I think everyone understands, when certain things in the family occur, sometimes you got to step away a little bit, but just making sure anything in life, just being flexible with anything.
Amazing.